Welcome, everybody, to the Genesis Mindset. In this episode, I'll be covering Teddy Bear, how it's potentially leading the way for a breakout in the Atropa ecosystem, and some new opportunities. I had a few people asking for some new opportunities, so I have done a little bit of digging, and I'm actually going to share a resource for a Telegram chat that you can actually go to where it's just one person who's basically just sharing new tokens as they're released within the Atropa ecosystem by the 414 devs. So it's a good little resource that basically I monitor all the new tokens. So I'll share those with you, and I'm going to share obviously teddy bears. So actually, first also, I just want to address, there was a few people mentioning that the last video was a bit negative or fuddy with the Atropa ecosystem in relation to PDI. I can see where people are coming from with that. I can, but I'm not the type of person that's going to talk about how great things are when I don't think things are great for whatever reason. Like, I'm going to tell it how it is. So with PDAR, for example, when I was saying that the local top could have been the 0.09 cent mark rather than the 1 cent mark, and people were saying that was FUD. It is as it is. Like, it's not FUD. It's just telling it as it is, and that's what I do. I don't sugarcoat things. I don't just gas up the market and watch this hyped up video. I'm only going to talk about it if I genuinely believe it. So with that, I actually do believe. Now I'm looking at it. I've seen this awesome trend line, so we'll get into it, and it is looking like, hey, there is a chance for a breakout. So there's a few things that are still on my mind about whether it can or whether it can't. The main thing, so here's this trend line breakout. So this is to the US dollar. So this is teddy bear to the US dollar. It's above its previous all-time high. And so it's really trickled around this region for quite some time now. So whether or not it actually breaks it within this little run or not remains to be seen. So it's going to be very interesting to see what it actually does. But this little region here, it's kind of bounced around here for quite some time. But you can see this trend line, it keeps forming higher lows. So it does still look quite bullish. So if it does break this level here, if it can break here, this little region here, if it can break out of this little region here, then it's a very, very good sign for the Atropa ecosystem because, oopsies, as Moon King brought to my attention, Moon King for all the alpha, man. Moon King's got all the alpha. As Moon King brought to my attention, Teddy Bear really leads the way. And so I've been monitoring this, and I have noticed, yes, he is right. Of course, Teddy Bear does lead the way. So it has a very strong recovery from those lows. So it's probably, what do we got? It's almost a 50% recovery, so 40-odd% recovery. So now that's to USD. I would always compare it to Pulse Chain, but I have to say I'm starting to rethink this idea of comparing to Pulse Chain. So we're still waiting for it to break the all-time high to Pulse Chain. And again, this flow is really nice. So another 40% recovery on there, or almost 50% for the Pulse Chain. But this, I'm starting to wonder whether it's going to be accurate to compare it to Pulse Chain. The reason being is this, like, Pulse Chain's kind of going a little bit slow, and so I'm not sure if it needs this kind of thinking. So I like the idea of not necessarily comparing it to the US dollar and comparing it to the big daddy, which is Pulse Chain. But the reason why, so shout out to Crypto Chameleon and Pulse Pup, Steady Pup for this one. So obviously we've seen this one many times on my channel. And this here shows all the connections with Teddy Bear. So is it wise to really start looking? The only reason why I compare it to Pulse Chain is because the majority of the market does. This is the old way of thinking when you compare tokens to Ethereum, not to US dollar, or tokens to Solana, not to US dollar. This is very important, but within Pulse Chain, within this Atropa ecosystem, because there's hundreds of tokens within this Atropa ecosystem and they're all liquidity bonded, is it actually a good idea to look at it like this? Ratio trading between these different tokens is, in my opinion, the way that this system is best played. So the idea for me is to really rotate into Pulse and then basically find my way into the Atropa ecosystem through these various tokens, and then stay within that ecosystem and ratio trade within that ecosystem. So Crypto Chameleon here has basically shown, I love Crypto Chameleon, man. RIP to his big bag of weed that he threw away the other day. He's shown four little maps that Steady Pup has got on his Twitter, and then PLS Pup. This is the PLS Pup. And anyway, I've had a lot of people talking about and asking me about how to actually create tokens to do the same thing, go back to some of my videos with, well, particularly with Steady Pup, Sunny. That was another really good one. I mean, all the live streams are really good, but this particular one is a really good way of actually analyzing and trying to understand as a precedence for how you can approach any token that you want to create that might have a 1% tax, and it might be liquidity bonded, just like with Steady, just like with PLS Pup. So just take a look at this and really study this and what he's done. So, hey, Finvesta, Escobar. So we got some here from, we had Jesus Escobar, OG Web Chef on the other day on the channel as well. So, okay, what do you guys think? Do you guys think we're going to break it? So again, this is Pulse Chain. Very, very, it's creeping up, man. It's creeping up. It still does seem like all the liquidity is just flowing from one end to the other within Pulse Chain. There's not really a lot of new liquidity flowing in. This is probably why it stunted the growth a lot. But again, these are all just accumulation. These are, I mean, look, in 6, 7, 8 months time, these are going to be golden opportunities. We should be way further ahead than this. So now onto the new opportunities. Oopsie. So we'll just go straight into some of these new opportunities here. So this one here, oh, you're not going to be able to see it, but I'll link these contract addresses as well. So this one is Independence, I believe. This one is, because my head covers it. So this isn't, oh man, my head covers it. So obviously you can see here, copyright, trademark, whatever the R symbol is. I don't really know. So these are a couple of the new ones. And then, here we go, Stutter. Okay, so we got Stutter as well, Stutter trademark. So this is just to the USD value. And so these are some of the tokens that a lot of people have started to talk about. So I know, for example, if I go to my bookmarks here, we got Zach, who was talking about this the other day. In case you missed last night's Atropa eco discussion, we spoke for a while about these two tokens. So stay of proceedings. So this one, the R is stay of proceedings. So here's your contract address. I'll actually link Zach's tweet as well, and I strongly recommend following Zach. Zach's way of tweeting is magnificent. I love you, Zach. His way of tweeting is brilliant. It's very clear. It's very logical. It just follows this beautiful flow, so you can really get an understanding of everything. And then he goes into the details about what they actually are based on what he's learned. So stay of proceedings is a very important token inside the ecosystem. Just take one look at the list of holders and you might start to understand why. So stay of proceedings, I believe, has 133 tokens within it. So there's 133 supply. So, well, did he show that in his first? 148 supply for stay of proceedings. And then we have independence for 100. So stay of proceedings gives you instant access into basically the entire Atropa ecosystem. The list of tokens connected to stay seems to be like an audited list of an in-order crypto assets that are deemed legal by Atropa. Stay's largest LP is with Independence. So there's this strong bond between Independence and Stay. So now if we look at this, going back to this here, when we go back to, for example, Teddy Bear is a good avenue into a lot of these different tokens within the ecosystem. So you can look at Stay as being the same in that situation. So that's Stay. So which one is Stay? So that is going to be 860. So we got, so stay of proceedings is the R, so Independence. So it has a big bonding with Independence. So Independence is the newest token created by the 414 Dev Wallet. So that was on the 4th of May. Shout out to all the Star Wars fans, myself included. Watched it about 1 billion times. Independence is the newest token created by the 414 Dev Wallet. This token is a mega bullish because its two largest LPs are with Down and Atropa. Similar to how PDI Atropa Down charts track together, now Independence is connected heavily and will be right in line with these powerhouse tokens. There are only 20 Independence tokens. So it's very, very limited supply. So here he had it as 57,000. Now it's up to 73,000. So I'm not even sure anyone would even have like a full token because of the price of it. So this is very interesting. So Stay is obviously trying to be something that brings people into the ecosystem, and then through maybe Independence and through these other tokens, you can actually filter through and get accustomed to the Atropa ecosystem. Now, because the Atropa ecosystem has so many, actually, I'll mention this in just a minute. I'll finish this. So launch price was right around the 40K, 800K market cap. So this token is only up about 40% since it launched a few days ago. As this token moves up in price with down on Atropa, any additional buyers into independence will make the growth exponential. And with the token symbols for these being copyright registered trademark, it seems to me like the 414 is treating the Atropa ecosystem as a registered corporate entity. None of this is financial advice, just my opinion. So thank you very much, Saki. So there we go. So have a look at these guys. So this is a big one here. Very, very low supply. The market cap, I'm not sure if you guys can see it. So this is just a pulse chain, but obviously it's going to be connected to a lot of different tokens. So take a look at these. And if you do feel overwhelmed, this new range of tokens that just got released could be a good way for you to actually start to dip your toes into the Atropa ecosystem. There's so many tokens, it is a little bit overwhelming. So perhaps it's a good idea to stick to, if I was just entering in, I'd go with the core tokens, some of the ones that Zach was mentioning, things like Atropa, Down, Teddy Bear, TSFI, well, obviously PDI and the P stables, which were forked. They weren't actually created by the 414 Atropa dev. So that could be some of your core holdings, and then some of these newer ones, and starting to explore the avenues in some of these newer tokens which were just released. And so if you have the Telegram chat and you put that on notifications, you'll get those notifications straight away. Whoever runs that Atropa, the Atropa token launches, has done a very good job so far of actually monitoring it. So I must admit, it was very, very good to be away for a month, because I've come back and there's already so much negativity on crypto Twitter. And again, I always try not to focus on it. I've seen people getting called out for certain things, and I'm quite shocked to see some of these names, and quite shocked there's been some big developments. But again, I always try and do my best. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at this, but I always try and do my best to focus on the positives. And there's a very, very, very important reason for this. Again, we're going to do a little book reading here. And this is never fight a bad fight. And so I'm just going to read this little quote from Stephen Bartlett, and I'll tie it into what we're talking about here. So this seems like a fitting analogy for breaking and making habits. You will end up doing the thing you're focusing on. So don't focus on stopping smoking. Don't fight it. Focus on the behavior you want to replace it with. And so in that sense, I guess in a way as well, I can see why people would have perceived the video about the buyers perhaps to be fuddy. I probably should have been more positive and just not even focus on the negativities and the fact that BFF wasn't at 8K yet, and really just stay focused on the positives. And that is 100% my experience with habits as well. So in the same way, in terms of habits, in terms of the negativity that surrounds everything that's going on in crypto, just stay focused on the positives. So with that, a good little video, hopefully for some new people, with some good little tokens. And even though it's 73K for independence, it shouldn't put you off. It's really just about token supply. That might get to 500K one day. It might get to 1 million, might get to 2 million. You don't know. So I think it's definitely a good idea to dip your toes into some of these. So with that, thank you very much, everybody. Take care and have a good night.